The LittleBigPlanet / Sackboy franchise is one of PlayStation's biggest and definitely one of the best. With more than 10 main games and spin-offs, there is bound to be some games better or worse than others. And even though most of the game servers have been shut down just recently this year, I still wanted to make a video reviewing all these games. So today I'm going to be ranking all the 10 games from worst to best. Also, if you happen to like the video, please drop a like and subscribe if you enjoy LittleBigPlanet content, as I got many more videos on the way. So let's begin. The worst game, and in my opinion the only bad game of the franchise, got to be Ultimate Sackboy. Ultimate Sackboy is an endless runner type of game released for mobile on the 21st of February back in 2023. The game's concept in itself is nothing too special, but the execution is not good at all. The mechanics of the game are very bland and boring, and overall not fun. Another issue I have with this game is that even though it claims to be an endless runner, it's really not one. Also, one of the biggest problems I found in this game back when I first played it is that once you reach a certain point, you are literally required to buy the battle pass to beat the levels, as they are literally impossible to beat. Overall, I feel like the game is just a simple cash grab for Sony, as it does more wrong than good, and it just serves as a Subway Surfers rip-off, which in itself is not original. It's really sad to think that this is the latest entry in the franchise, as it is not good at all compared to the previous installments. Sackboy Prehistoric Moves is a small spin-off game for LittleBigPlanet 1, and which released back in 2010. The game is very good and very fun, but the reason I ranked it in this place is because of the competition and because it is a very short game. Also, the lack of create mode and community really pull the game down, since it has no replayability. The biggest problem with this one, though, has to be that you are required to buy a Move controller to play it. The game in itself is very cheap, but if you want to play it you have to buy a PS Move controller, which if you didn't know is a bit expensive and not so worth it. I mean, I get it, that the game was intended to be a game promoting LittleBigPlanet 1 and the PS Move controllers, but I just feel that the entire game could have worked just as well as a DLC. Having said that, I think it's a decent one, at least compared to Ultimate Sackboy. Coming up at number 8 is Run Sackboy Run, which is yet another running game released for mobile and PS Vitas in 2014. Unlike Ultimate Sackboy, this one is a 2D runner game, and compared to it, this one is actually a lot of fun. Even though simple, Run Sackboy Run is actually not boring at all, and it is very replayable. Something that made this game special is that you can unlock customs for the main games, and I always thought that was a very nice touch to it. The only problem I have with this game is that I would have wished to be able to create my own tracks in this game, because the game only has 3 worlds that it reuses all the time. Anyways, in my opinion this is the perfect runner game for all the LBP fans out there. At number 7 is LittleBigPlanet for PlayStation Portable. LittleBigPlanet PCP is actually the first LittleBigPlanet handheld game, and I think that the game does its work very well. I mean, it has a fully fledged create mode and story mode, and before its servers got shut down, it even had its own community where players shared their creations. Speaking of create mode, this one had a more limited one since it had only 2 layers and not 3 compared to its predecessors. The graphics are a little bit blurry, but I guess it's because the game is very old. Anyways, the reason it is in this spot is because compared to the later handheld game, this one is just not that amazing. Up next at number 6 is LittleBigPlanet Karting. LittleBigPlanet Karting is sadly the only game that I haven't tried from the franchise, but I still think that the game is fascinating and actually very underrated. It was first released in 2012 and it is actually the first game in the franchise to be 3D. Unlike its predecessors, this one is actually just like LittleBigPlanet, but in racing style. The game has fantastic visuals and mechanics, and it's truly a hidden gem. The ability to create in 3D and to play the levels others made make the game a must-play. Sadly, the servers are shut down though. Anyways, moving on. Coming up at number 5 is Sackboy Big Adventure. Sackboy Big Adventure is a 3D masterpiece and in my opinion the best PS5 game. The mechanics, visuals, characters and story make the game a must-play for every Sackboy fan out there. Every detail in the game is simply amazing, and you can really tell how much love Sumo Digital put in this game. The only thing that holds the game down is the lack of create mode and community. I mean, the game would have easily dominated this list if it weren't for that, but sadly, Sony had other plans. Nonetheless, I still think the game is fantastic, and it does not deserve hate for this one reason. Now I know this one might be controversial, but at number 4 is the first game. Don't get me wrong, the first LittleBigPlanet is an amazing game, and in my opinion one of the best ones, but it's just that I think that its sequels are a bit better. Nonetheless, LittleBigPlanet 1 has amazing mechanics, beautiful characters, a good story, and most definitely charming visuals. Also, there are some things that make this game not as child-friendly, but that's for another discussion. If you are interested, go check my retrospective video about LittleBigPlanet 1. Overall, the first LittleBigPlanet is truly a masterpiece of its own, and I really like the game so much because of it. It's a fantastic video game, and I think that it truly was revolutionizing for gaming back at the time. Coming in third place is LittleBigPlanet for PlayStation Vita. Believe me when I say that this is LittleBigPlanet portable perfection. Unlike LBP PCP, this version of the game is absolutely flawless. Its story is amazing and its mechanics are very creative. One thing that always fascinated me is how the developers established the use of touch and rear touch into the game. I mean, this game is truly made to maximize the Vita's many awesome features. I cannot describe how much fun the story is, even though it's darker than the other games. Also, back in the days when the servers were still up, the community levels of this game were truly amazing. Everything in this installment is great, and as I mentioned earlier, this game is flawless. Now the moment you've all been waiting, the final two games on the list. This one will probably be too controversial, but keep in mind this is my opinion, and I really think that these two games are a tie. At number 2 is the second game. I do want to clarify that objectively this game is the best in this series, but for me what gives the first spot the edge is that it's the only game that is in all PlayStations, such as 3, 4 and even 5. Compared to the first spot, which is LittleBigPlanet 3 if you haven't guessed already, I played this game slightly not as much as the third one. Fun fact is that LittleBigPlanet 2 is the first game that I tried from the series. As I mentioned earlier, this game is absolutely perfect, and this can easily take the first spot, but because of the reasons I mentioned before, this one took the second one. Another fun fact is that in the short I made a while ago, this game actually takes the first spot, but because for me the two games are a tie, I thought I'd put it in the second place. Overall, this is the best PlayStation 3 game to have ever existed. The first spot goes to LittleBigPlanet 3. I know that this one makes many of you mad, but it's just that the experience I got with this game back when I played for the first time was something undescribable. Also, I know that this game was buggy for many of you back when it first released and after the release, but for me the game very rarely had glitches and all that. LittleBigPlanet 3 has amazing characters, a good story, and the best create mode out of all the games. Also, one of its biggest strengths was that back when the servers were still online, you were able to play all the community levels from the first games, besides the one people were making in that game. Overall, this game was packed full of fantastic features, and even though sometimes it had annoying glitches, those didn't ruin the experience for me. Anyways, that's all for today. Hope you liked this video and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, be sure to tell me in the comments your ranking of the games. And with that, hoping you all the best, bye and see you next time.